Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, school holidays should be a time of fun and excitement. But charities have warned that many children are going hungry, with diseases like rickets and scurvy making a comeback. In Swansea last week, one food bank said it had run out of basic supplies and suggested one reason why was that children who normally get free meals at school are missing out on food in the holidays. Our Home Affairs correspondent Andy Davies reports now from South Wales on what's being done to tackle so-called holiday hunger.
In Swansea's Portmead, in the summer holidays, the St Tylo's Breakfast Club gets busier by the year. Open 3 mornings a week, the food is free for children and parents, and 56 of them are in today.
How often are you seeing children in here who are manifestly hungry?
Every day. For every session. And that could be one child or it could be all of them.
It's not just about food. Some come here principally for the social aspect. But the charity which runs this and 2 other clubs in Swansea says the provision of free breakfasts is meeting huge demand. And last year they helped feed 1,300 children and parents in this city alone.
And Emma's going to drink her milk. Nom nom nom.
Danielle, whose husband is a coach driver, says they struggled for food last year when she stopped working.
I have used a food bank in the past where I finished work to look after my daughter because childcare costs, we just couldn't meet them. So it made more sense for me to stay home. But after losing that income, we needed something to help us out with food. But I'd just like to say as well, even though I've used a food bank, whenever I have been in a position, I've also bought food for the food bank.
Financially, for you as a family, how much does it help coming to a breakfast club like this?
It definitely helps. After the necessities such as rent and water and gas and electric, there's little to play with at the end. So to find activities like this, it just means we can do so much more throughout the summer holidays.
Earlier this year, a group of MPs warned that up to 3 million children risk going hungry during the school holidays. And Wales has the highest rate of child poverty of all the UK nations.
How do you know when a child is experiencing real hunger?
It's difficult to narrate that, but I've got 3 sons. They're all 6 foot, and they're hungry all the time, but they're not. You know, they could eat breakfast all, continuously, because that's the way they are. When you have children running in through our doors, that you can tell whether they've not had anything to eat since our play scheme or our after-school club the day before, and they are really hungry. You can tell in their persona, you can tell in their behaviour that they're waiting for food. It's a totally different feeling, totally different vision.
And how often is that happening?
My teams are telling me that in our centres we're seeing it on a daily basis, especially during the summer holidays.
I mean, that's pretty concerning, isn't it?
Yes, without a doubt. It's not right. It's not right and it's not fair, and we're seeing it on a regular basis.
This issue has been highlighted here in Swansea after one of the city's food banks announced it had run out of basic supplies for the first time in 4 years of operating. And the start of the school holidays was cited as one of the reasons why.
Donations flooded in after calls went out across the city, led by one of Swansea's Labour MPs, Carolyn Harris.
Well, this room has become pretty overloaded with food, as you can see.
Her constituency office is now carpeted in food parcels. The temporary absence of free school meals, she claims, exacerbating a growing problem.
Hasn't it always been a bit like this in the summer holidays?
I think it's got worse. The people who are using the food banks and the people that we be feeding are kids whose parents are in work.
You're quite angry about this issue?
I'm absolutely furious, because I just feel it's so unfair that people have to make decisions about how much they feed the kids or when they feed the kids. This is 2017 Britain. We shouldn't be in this position.
The Trussell Trust runs a 400-strong network of food banks like this one in Cardiff, where, of course, it's not just struggling parents seeking help in the holidays.
I feel really bad, but I've got no choice but to come to a food bank.
Jay is 43, a former bookkeeper. Her bipolar disorder, she says, has made it hard for her to find work.
The last time I did go to the food bank was in October, so that's about a good 8-10 months ago. So I'm not doing too bad, you know.
How would you describe your situation at the moment?
Not good. Not good. It's really upsetting because I can't do anything about it. I can't do anything. I can't work, and I can't. I've got to live on what I get, you know. And it's not the best thing. Yeah.
Last year, the Trussell Trust gave out over 1 million three-day emergency food supplies to people in crisis. 400,000 of those went to children. The well-documented spike in demand over the summer has prompted many food club initiatives. But in Wales, the devolved government has now spent £500,000 to help fund 39 schools to open over several weeks in the summer.
Go, go, go.
At Severn Primary School in Cardiff, the free meals bookend a minimum hour of physical exercise and talks on healthy eating.
What's the best thing about coming here?
Everything.
What about the food?
Delicious, yummy.
I think it's just wonderful. It's brilliant. It's really helping lots of working parents and non-working parents because mainly, as we were talking about a lot of things, it's just not about the food. It's about engaging them, giving them the idea about sports and fitness and healthy eating. Having this for 4 weeks to engage the children during summer holidays is just like, you know, out of the world opportunity kind of a thing.
Back in Swansea at St Tylo's, the quiet industry of those fighting food poverty yields yet another stream of donations. Soon they'll be offering children here 2 weeks of free lunches too. Within 24 hours of announcing it, not a spare ticket remained.
Andy Davies reporting. Well, earlier I spoke to the School Food and Health Policy Advisor, Lindsay Graham. She's chair of a parliamentary task group on holiday hunger. I began by asking her whether she thought the issue was getting worse.
Yes, I absolutely believe that the issue is getting worse. And I've been studying the issue for about 5 years now. And I've certainly seen, particularly in the last 2 years, an escalation of the issue.
I know it's very hard to be certain about what's causing this, but is it because there are more food banks available or because more families are going hungry?
I think it's a mixture of things that is causing. I don't necessarily think it's to do with the number of food banks. We've got 0-hour contracts, we've got homelessness, more homelessness, you know, families living in temporary accommodation. Benefit sanctions, we know, is one of the big things that families are really struggling with. And when it comes to family budgets, when you have to decide to pay the mortgage, to pay the rent, to pay your fuel bills, the only flexible thing that you have in your budget is the food bill. So we know that parents are going hungry so their children can eat.
Central government is saying two things to us. One is that they point out DWP figures that show that absolute poverty has fallen over 10 years. The other is that they say that local authorities can allocate funding to feed children during the holidays. So is it local government's fault?
No, I don't think it's local government's fault. I think local government is pressed enough as it is, and budgets have been cut massively. So children services that would have supported children in the past, youth centres, Sure Start, children's centres, even some schools are closing. We cannot ask the next generation of children to be the future lawyers, doctors, plumbers, carers, nurses, firemen, unless we start looking after them. So I think government really has to step up to the plate to this. I think it's an opportunity to show that they really care. And also to the people who are doing these projects on an absolute shoestring, of relying on the goodwill of their communities. Apart from, I mean, Wales is doing a fantastic job. At least the Welsh Government put £500,000 into their Food and Fund project this summer, which is great. It's really good to see that. But I think, and there are some local authorities that are doing stuff across the country, but actually we need a national framework, we need policy, and I would, I would welcome the opportunity to speak to the Prime Minister about this. And I could take her to some of the projects where these are life-changing projects. So yes, I think the government really has to take some responsibility and a little bit of honesty about what's happening around child poverty.
Well, you talked about children's futures. What is the impact of kids going hungry during the holidays?
We know that they're socially isolated. We know that they're food insecure. We know that there's learning loss with it as well, so it affects the education gap. And they could be, as much as 2 years behind their peers by the time they finish school. But it's all the other things that happen. We're seeing things like scurvy, rickets, children, and teachers are reporting children are coming back malnourished after the school holidays. But hunger doesn't know political parties, it doesn't know religion, it doesn't know age. But I think there's an opportunity to do something for the next generation of voters, dare I say it to the politicians watching, to really make a difference. And one of the things that they could start is by addressing food insecurity in the school holidays.